Welcome to the National Awareness Campaign of Stuttering and Mental Wellbeing. Lorcan, I'm joined by Lorcan Mcloughlin. Welcome.
Thank you, Valerie.
First of all, Lorcan, you are an ambassador for the awareness and the campaign, and how important is this initiative?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to Jamie and the team for inviting me here. Fantastic initiative, an awful lot of work has gone into it, and I think it's hugely important that, you know, initiatives like this continue and that people are leading it, and to kind of, I suppose, create more of awareness about stuttering and mental health. I think they're two important topics that we need to create awareness about and give people a better understanding about.
Well, speaking in public is difficult at the best times, not to mind when you're, when something like this happens.
Yeah, very true. You know, people get anxious, even, it's the thought of what could go wrong. And I suppose then to add stuttering into that as well, another challenge, it definitely makes it more difficult. So for people like Jamie and everyone involved in this campaign, I think it's brilliant to stand up, create awareness and show that, you can tackle these challenges and break down the barriers and give encouragement to other people that might be kind of facing the same challenges.
You are a former Cork hurler, and in your day you would have maybe been facing the limelight sometimes, maybe post-match, pre-match, big games. How did you find it?
Yeah, I suppose you're always conscious of what you're going to say, or maybe saying the wrong thing, or making the wrong statement, but sometimes you just have to just take your time, think through and just make your key points and keep it at that. But certainly, even for myself, and even over the years, I'd still get anxious coming up to interviews, or if I had to stand in front of a crowd and do a presentation. So it's over time you kind of learn you kind of develop coping mechanisms, I suppose. I
know that you're not a quiet lad, but many people outside would think you're a quiet lad. And you were probably quiet when you were facing media back in the day, realistically.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's something that you don't really get involved in until you're in the limelight, or you're involved in inter-county teams, and then you kind of become more conscious of what you should and you shouldn't be saying. But certainly it's over time you get used to these scenarios and you start developing different strategies then for just thinking through what you're going to say, just trying to plan it out and just keep it concise and hit the key messages.
What advice would you give to maybe a young stutterer that may be facing this and maybe struggling and needing some sort of help?
Yeah, I suppose the first message is that they wouldn't be alone. Everyone faces their own individual challenges, but stuttering is common across the board. I think it's important that across the board we create the awareness, but we help each other, and then just to face that challenge, because even campaigns like this give encouragement to younger generations that that you're not alone, but you can face these challenges, and overcome these challenges by putting yourself out there and tackling these, breaking down these barriers.
Unfortunately, a lot of these stutters can be triggered by something that happens in a child's life, Lorcan. And you as a sports coach, I suppose you have responsibility to, speak to the kid and not be maybe putting them or send a trigger to them. But as a sports coach, how would you maybe give some advice to a child that would be?
Yeah, I suppose sport in itself will create resilience, and it puts that individual into a group situation where they have to work together. But there's, outside of, say, verbal communication, there's also physical communication. There are different ways of communicating with other people, so it's about utilising all that and not to get too worked up, not to get too anxious with any situation. Just to take your time, get your thought process right, focus on focus on what you have to do, and don't worry about the outcome that will play through itself.
But sport can be an amazing thing. I know that there's other societies and things that kids could enter, but sport, you could leave something like that at the door and go out and play in the field. Yeah, true. It's very good. And like I'm saying again, there's different ways of communicating with people around you, whether it's through hand signals, through body language. So obviously verbal communication is an important part of that. But when you utilise all, your communication dynamics, then you can communicate with people effectively. You were with Kieran Kingston. Are you going to tell us any of his hand signals that he'd tell you in the field? Yeah, I probably got a few of them in your day. But yeah, so look, again, like that, it's down to body language, and what you want to see out in the field of play from a manager, from a player, is your body language, and that you are taking messages on board and that you are doing what you're asked to do. So it's the same with kids. You try to give a message, and it's how they respond to that message then through their body language is the important thing. Thanks so much, Lorcan. Excellent. Thank you, Valerie.